Hey there, friendlies. How's up? Welcome to whatever's today's date edition of the Beer Blades and Bushcraft livestream. I have no idea what date it is because we're in a pandemic and every day is Monday. Um, this, as you guys know, is it's not. This is a version of the occasional show where I get to talk to people I respect about things that interest me. This is more of a one-on-one for now. That may change depending on who comes on and who's going to be interesting enough to come on screen. Avid Outdoorsy Guy and I are going to be discussing prepping. Um, Maybe a little philosophy, maybe some tools, maybe some practices. The only thing we're not going to get into is guns and politics. As you guys know, it's just the way the channel is. Avid Outdoorsy Guy, I just blew your name. Maybe I'll just call you Ethan.
That's fine.
He's got 241 followers on Instagram, which is remarkably small for such a good Instagram. And even worse, his YouTube channel only has 2,460 odd subs. So if you guys are on and you're not subbed yet, check him out because his stuff is way more interesting than mine. Like, you got a canoe. So yeah, Ethan, this is interesting thing actually. This morning or this afternoon or whatever, I was sitting there wondering what the hell we were going to talk about tonight, and then boop, Instagram message comes up from Ethan here saying, "Hey, why don't we talk about prepping?" Was that because of the situation we're in right now? Was that sort of a thought process? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that was all. I thought, what better time to talk
What
about
better time? Yeah.
really?
And it's funny because my wife came down the stairs. I was cleaning up the office like 2 days ago, and she came down and said, when this is done, we're going to need to have a room down here somewhere that's full to the brim with canned goods.
Exactly.
And I said,
my thoughts too.
you're absolutely right. And I felt really weird being all into the idea because I'm not one of those guys who you'd see on an episode of, Nat Geo's Doomsday Preppers.
The Doomsday Preppers, me either.
Like, for the longest time, that's what prepper meant to me. So I was like, no way.
When you think prepper, you associate it with like kooky, crazy, like obsessive, nuts,
Tinfoil hats,
apocalypse at all times.
any excuse to buy ammo.
Yeah.
And before I had this channel, sorry, I'm being real careful opening this beer because of that time I sliced my hand open on during a live stream.
I didn't know that was a knife. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like there's better options.
I know, and in fact, I have a better option down here somewhere, but since I cleaned the damn basement, I don't know where the hell it went.
Set it on the side of the desk and boom, I do it on canoes all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I set it on the edge of the canoe, bust it open.
That worked. So it was really weird for my wife to say, "Let's do this." She wouldn't see it as a prepper thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
She would see it as planning for the future. Because here's the thing: we have a pandemic going on right now, but this isn't even the super bug that the medical community is concerned about, right? This isn't the antibiotics proof bug that they think is coming.
Like the next plague.
Right? So, it's hard for me to maintain my previous philosophy about preppers. And it's weird to say that because I don't want to make that sound like I'm going to go and put a cache in the woods full of, ammo and stuff. But I definitely do believe, I think she's right. We have to, not just a 72-hour kit, but you need to have like a good 2 or 3 months worth of food.
Yeah, it's amazing how this has really been an eye opener for so many people and realized how many things we took for granted before.
Yeah.
And just simple like TP. I mean, whoever would have thought that? Like I usually have half a pack of TP, and then I'll let it get down to like the second or the last roll before I buy more. But now, you have to always think about that.
Yeah, you got to think about that, and it made no sense, man. I was trying to buy a few groceries, and there was someone swooping by with a thing full of toilet paper, and I'm like, okay, you're an idiot. But then, I saw 2 or 3 people going by with. This was before this store started smartening up and saying 2 of everything only, and their baskets full of bottled water. And I sort of said, "Guy, it's not coming through the fucking pipes. It's not coming through the gosh darn pipes. What are you doing?" But people get into panic mode,
Yeah,
and they do things that make no sense.
exactly. They see what like a couple people get the idea like, ooh, I'm going to stock up on this because of whatever reason, and then other people see them doing that, and they're like, okay, I'm going to do that too, and it's just chain effect.
And it just feeds on itself. Hey, why don't we take a pause to say hi to the people who've joined, because we got 12 people on, and I totally forgot to say hi to everyone. Simon's here. Salut, comment ça va? Creative Redundancy. Hey, nice to see you again. Foxed Outdoors. All right. Welcome back. We got Nate Muskoka on. Always good to see him around.
Ooh,
Speaking all French tonight.
fancy
C'est bien.
French, Nate.
Who else do we got here? Mike Morton's on.
Hi, Mike.
You know Mike.
I know Mike. Who else is
Tenenbaum. Nice to see him in from Sweden. RV Kids TV. Hi. Welcome back. Mark Pootmans. Alain, comment ça va? Jonathan, hi. We got a good group on here tonight. Hold on. I'm being waved to from the darkness. Say something to the people.
Sure.
Okay. So was just saying hi. Dr. Sharp, how's it going? Hey, LT's here. Comment va, monsieur? Ça fait longtemps. Yeah, so it's a good group we got going in the side chat. So where we were before this was, it's amazing what people are stocking up on, and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
The fact that I have not been able to find Lysol or like anything like that, it bugs me, but I can understand. I can see why they're doing this.
Yeah, from now on, I know I'm going to have at least like a handful of hand soaps under each sink, plenty of toilet paper, Lysol wipes, sprays. I'm going to make sure I have all that all the time now. It's crazy. But
yeah, it's nuts.
It's not, but at the same time, that's going back to the prepper thing. It's not that nuts now. Like
no, it's not nuts, and that bugs me. Yeah, because that's not saying that doesn't bug me because I want those people to be wrong. That bugs me because them being right means that the world has gone really squirrely. I just want to show to Mark Pootmans. Je l'ai deux ce soir. Man, the lighting doesn't show anything up. This is Pit Caribou, La Gaspésienne numéro 13. It's not a milk stout. It's a robust porter. Wow, it's a 6.2%. And it's just straight up 500 ml. What are you drinking tonight, Ethan?
4.5% American beer.
4.5%. And from close to water. Yeah. Actually, and it's funny because Simone just said something that is true. Bugging out is out of fashion. Bugging in is trendy.
Yeah, right?
Who
has a bug out bag anymore? That's bug in stuff.
Yeah. And I've always been the type to prefer the idea of bugging in, to be honest with you, because I know this environment.
Right.
There are things that bug me about this environment.
When you have everything you need right there.
You got everything you need. You know where all the little nooks and crannies are. Just in case someone does blow in your window and crawl in. You know how long it'll take you to get there with a baseball bat or to just get out the back door.
It's like a already built fortress.
Yeah. Yep. Tyler's here.
Hey,
Tyler always has something interesting to bring. Dr. Sharp's got tornado warnings tonight.
Where?
I don't remember where Dr. Sharp lives.
We had big storms last night, really big thunderstorms this morning / last night.
Been pretty good. I lived through one tornado when I was living in Winnipeg. Well, no, when I was living in Saint Boniface, which is a little francophone town. It was sort of on, I think, the other side of the river. This was when I was about this old to about this old, so I don't quite remember the geography very well. Southern Illinois, right? Dr. Sharp's in Southern Illinois. What was I saying? Yeah, and so there was this tornado warning, and we were just bracing for impact and all in like the late 70s. The only people who were prepping were like, those people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, just okay. When it happens, just get into the bathtub because you know everything in
Right? The bathtub under the basement steps.
under the basement steps. And
Yeah.
then last minute, it's just sort of I don't know. It missed St. Boniface and took out a smaller town down the river and like really flattened the town. So
Ooh,
I think that hiding in a bathtub or down under the basement steps wouldn't have done us any good anyway. Hey Zach,
yeah.
but but my philosophy is changing. I'm thinking, yeah, there are certain aspects of prepping that it's time to take more seriously.
Yep, definitely. I think I really want to hit on the point where you brought up earlier was canned goods, like canning. I really mainly want to talk about home canning. My mom, I grew up. We had gardens, and
Oh,
we
you
had,
mean like a pressure canner or something?
yes, pressure can.
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
Yeah, so my mom was really, really big into it when I was growing up. We had a big garden and we lived out in the country, and we had neighbors who had gardens who they were usually older people, and they had lots of extra food that they would give to my mom to can, and we always had shelves full of green beans, different jams, different applesauce, peaches, pears, just quart jars
Yep.
full, shelves full. And when I was a kid, I thought, okay, yeah, it's nice that we have all this stuff, but I thought it was kind of annoying. Like,
Hmm.
man, it's like a solid month of my mom being in the kitchen, and usually in the fall, of just tons and tons and tons of canning. But now that I'm an adult, I see that's awesome. Like, it is awesome. That stuff lasts for years,
Yeah,
and
I,
it's
I,
so
I, I
good.
agree with you completely. I very much want to get a pressure canner. The madame does. What is it? What do you call it? Hot bath? You know, when you put your jars in like boiling
Yeah,
water and then
yeah,
you,
and then it seals them. Yeah,
yeah. But I
it's
know that
done
that's
for like jams and stuff mainly. Yeah.
yeah, it's not good for everything. Is it not good for anything tomato based?
Maybe I don't.
Something.
My mom's the expert on it. She knows everything. But the cool part about pressure canning is like it's a big initial investment. You buy all the quart jars,
Hmm.
and you can buy them by the case at like Walmart. And you buy all these jars, and you buy all the screw top lids, and you buy
Yep.
the pressure canner. You buy like if you're doing applesauce, you have to buy like a
Yep.
grinder to grind it down. All that stuff, it adds up, but that stuff lasts forever. And the only thing you really have to buy from then on is just the individual lids, because those are one-time use when they
Yeah.
seal down, and those are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's really really economical. It's great.
Yeah, I definitely want to try getting into that in a bigger way.
Uh,
For me, have more people come on.
yeah, Joe.
Hey, hi Joe. We were just talking about you right before going
I
live.
texted you.
Um, Brother Love, hey, how's it going? Um, I do want to point out something that creative redundancy said down there. Um, being prepping is proactive rather than being more reactive.
Yeah,
Um, but I wanted to hit on what you said as well. For me, the biggest outlay would be buying the pressure canner.
right. You don't want to end up on a terrorist watch list for one. Like, 'cause-
Oh, right. I hadn't even thought of that. I see. I hadn't even thought of that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think what the madame was saying is, we'll just buy a whole bunch of canned goods, and then every year go through everything, see what's coming around to being whatever passe date is in English,
yeah.
best before, and then
Mhm.
just donating all that stuff and replacing it. I don't mean waiting until it's gone off, but waiting, something that's going off within a month or two. Donate that because when you donate your food, it gets used like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then replace all those things so that we constantly have a cycle happening. Um, and maybe that way we can also build up our supplies a little slower, not put like 2 grand down out of one paycheck kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
But yeah. Like I said, that stuff it's good forever. So
yeah,
initial investment, but worth it for sure.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think if you can look, there are two ways of doing this, right? One is, oh, geez, we got to be prepped for the next time something happens, eh? And then there's like, I'm going to be a prepper, going to get me an AR. going to get me a cache out there in the woods. I'm
Yeah.
going shopping. And that second guy is the one I don't want to be,
No.
right?
No.
Because prepping
I
for a disaster
to a
should not be your
certain
lifestyle.
extent, like I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I am prepared that way, just enough, not crazy amount, but just enough, just
Yeah.
for a little self assurance.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, it's funny because Brother Love says something here as well. And I don't want to hate on anyone, eh? Um, I'm not saying that these guys are doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong for me
Mm-hmm.
because it's not my interest.
Right.
It's like, like that thing I keep saying about survival rather than bushcraft is that survival sucks, right? Survival is crap. Everything went south, and I got to get out of here.
That survival's terrible.
So and so I see the whole prepping thing the same way. To me, it's not an interest in a lifestyle I want to embark on.
Mm-hmm.
It's I have an 8-year-old. I
Right.
have a 16-month-old,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to protect my wife. I mean, she's a very robust person.
She can handle
We
her own.
protect each other. But I don't want my kids to. What's going on right now is that the world is scary. I'm not allowed to leave my burrow. Like, I'm prohibited from leaving my burrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm prohibited from leaving the island of Montreal. I cannot get anywhere because, unfortunately, I live in the Canadian um, uh, center of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
We're the worst hit city, and I'm in the worst hit borough. So we're not allowed to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're dealing with this is by my kids have all the snacks and games and cartoons that they want because I don't want them to remember this stress that their
Yeah.
parents are living right now. I want them to remember when they were home from school and daycare, and man, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's what I
Exactly.
want them to remember.
Don't put the stress of it on them, because then they'll start freaking out. They're going to associate their whole lives. They're going to think back to, wow, you remember that 6-month period where it was just hell and
Yeah,
we were so scared all the time?
absolutely. And that's why for next time I don't want, because every time one of us goes to the grocery store and comes back and strips everything off at the front door and puts it in a garbage bag and Purells their body down or whatever, it's hard to not pass the stress on to the kids, So actually, LT just said something interesting here about, because we can't get any Purell right now. To replace Purell or Clorox to clean surface, excuse me, use a ninth, no, 1 to 9, 1 part Javel to 9 part water. Smells like a pool, works like crazy. Yeah, we're doing something.
Chlorine, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much.
I want to hit on what Nate said, because I'm an electrician and this is right up my alley.
Wait, I'm looking for it. I'm using a wireless mouse that's new and doesn't bloody work.
Oh,
Okay.
I have a great one. I have a Logitech wireless mouse that is awesome. I love it.
This one?
Yep.
Anyone doing a generator setup for their home? Okay, yeah, let's do with that. In fact, can I just steal a concept from Canoe Hound Adventures? If you guys have something specific you want to discuss, or you got a question, like, because we're both experts, right? In brackets, question, in brackets, hey, Ethan, in brackets, Jesse, right at the beginning, and we'll note that you guys are talking to us instead of each other.
I like that.
Yeah, Nate, I like this question.
All right, so backup generators. I have done a ton of them on people's houses, and it's never for prepping reasons. People don't get them for prepping reasons, but it can work for a prepping reason. They're awesome. The backup generators now, usually people, when they get them, they don't get just enough to run a few things in the house. It's not practical.
Right.
When they get them, they get enough to run like everything in the house. Unless you have like crazy amounts of electronics, that it's just dumb to do that. But for the most part, they're going to size the generator. The electricians will size the generator for what to run your whole house.
Okay.
And I've seen those generators run for 48 hours before, and they run on backup. They run either if you have propane, or they run on natural gas, or whatever kind of heating source you have. And I've seen one run on about 48 hours worth, and it was maybe they used up like 5% of their propane tank for 48 hours worth of power. So
Really?
that is a really, really economical, great thing to have.
I am.
They're super practical. It's such a peace of mind. Like if you go on a lot of trips, a lot of vacations,
Mhm.
you have sump pump in your basement. If you have a deep freezer full of food, it's
Yeah.
just they're just you can go and not have to worry. You're never in it. I can't find the words. It's such a peace of mind is what I'm trying to say. Like you never have to worry about anything going wrong, really.
I didn't know that they ran off like whatever is the gas that goes to your house. I always thought that you
Mhm.
had to fill them up from from a tank or
Nope.
whatever. Now here in my place, useless because the only thing coming into my house is hydro, is
Really.
electricity. Yeah. Um, a lot of Quebec is like that. There's natural gas in town, but our neighborhood never got. Um,
Your neighborhood didn't get it. So are you able to get a propane tank?
oh yeah.
Well, see, there you go. That's what it would run on then.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Yeah.
know why, but I thought they were like a little, not a two-stroke engine, but you know what I'm saying. I thought that they had a gas tank on them and you filled it up,
The
went to the
reason
gas
for that
station.
is liquid petroleum. It goes bad over time.
Yep.
It's sitting in a tank in a can. It will eventually deteriorate and go bad, and it won't run properly. And then you have to deal with fuel injectors and carburetors and whatever that it'll clog up over time.
Yep.
So running it on a clean fuel like a gas,
Yep.
you avoid a lot of those problems. And generators automatically start up. I think it's once a week for 15 minutes. You program it when you want it to do it, and it'll start up and it runs. There's a backup battery that's always on a trickle charge
Okay.
in the unit, and it starts it up and it runs for about 15 minutes just to make sure it's always good to go.
Is it like the same theory as if you just leave your car in the garage for like 2 years?
Kind of, but like
Probably not
that's
gonna.
liquid fuel instead of
Yeah.
a gas.
Right. LT says he'd like to do the generator thing for bugging in mainly in winter. Yeah, because up here, if it's January, you don't really want to bug out because you're going to freeze your arse off.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Wintertime, like that. When I had that buddy that his ran for 48 hours, this was the middle of winter.
Hmm.
So he, like the entire block of people, they were freezing their butts off,
Yep.
and they were running little like like kerosene heaters or whatever they could.
Yep.
And he was just sitting cozy watching TV in his living room, like nothing happened.
Alain suggests get a few marine batteries and a good inverter. That's part of my long-term plan because I'd like to solar up the garage,
Mm-hmm.
my garage workshop, sort of as a proof of concept for doing the house. So yeah, that's true. Joe Robinette asks an interesting question. Do you guys have generators? Ethan, I'm pretty sure you probably do.
I actually don't, but
Really?
I since I'm an electrician, I rigged it up so where I could easily hook one up to my panel. I
Mm,
just I made a cord and everything. I can run it outside, plug one in, and I can grab my dad's generator if I have to. I did it once during the summer. We lost power for like a day, and it was like 98 degrees out, so we had to have the AC running, and I just
yeah.
rigged up my panel to run it, which I don't recommend if you're not an electrician. You don't know what you're doing. You will blow up your panel. So don't
Yeah.
do
By
it.
the way, Ethan, now that I know that I knew that you were an electrician, but I forgot. But now that you've sort of said it officially, when I do decide to install a solar system, I'm calling your ass and you're coming up north. Okay.
I was actually going to tell Joe, like, just Joe, buy the generator and I'll hook it up for you. Okay, I'll come up and hook it up this summer. All right.
I'm surprised that Joe doesn't have one.
I thought I tried to talk you into it before, Joe. I mentioned it. I thought maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Um, but actually, Joe would need a bigger one than me. I think a bigger one than I do. And it's funny because LT Survival asked a question that hits on exactly what I was about to say. What type and power of the generator would I need? Like, how do you figure out? Um,
They're based on kilowatts. So basically, you need to figure out what size of service you have in your house. Typically, service sizes they go 100 amp, 200 amp, 320, and 400 amp. Typical houses, like small houses in town, run on like 100 amp service, and But modern newer houses usually out further out are 200 amp services.
I think I might be 150. I would see that on my board.
What does it say? Is it a 150 breaker or what?
Yeah, I think it's a one. I don't remember. I don't remember how
So
to find it.
that means your main breaker is rated for 150 amps. What you really need to do is look at your meter outside, and it says what it is.
Oh, okay.
This is like CL, a number, and that's
Okay.
what the size of your service is. Um, yeah, so basically you run out, you kind of base it off of that, and then what all you want to be running. I don't think I've installed a generator less than 18 kilowatt. Typical is usually around like 20 to 22. A 16 or like a 12 to 16 is like bare minimum, pretty much, like just running essential stuff. Obviously, the smaller the generator, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I look. I'm not.
I encourage you guys to go get a quote. Like, get a hold of an electrician who does this and get a quote. Get a few quotes. It's
I'm,
an investment for sure.
I'm not the only one who's surprised that Joe doesn't have a generator yet. Tyler Rodriguez. Joe is positive he had generators. Aren't you way out in the sticks?
Yes, he is. Oh
He
my God.
is. I would love to be way out in the sticks too. Brother Love says, glad you brought this up because I was just looking at a property that runs off a propane generator. You've never seen one and doesn't know how it works or how it could be practical. Sounds really viable.
If it runs off it all the time,
That sounds expensive to me.
you should definitely have a utility hookup over constant running, for sure.
LT is saying to you, Ethan, 200 amp. He thinks 4,500 watt, 3,550 with running. Nate says that 200s are pretty popular around there.
Generacs, I've installed a ton of those. Yep. Generacs are pretty much my favorite brand. You can get Generacs, Kohler. Who makes it? Those are like the two most popular brands. I can't remember any other ones, but Generacs pretty much the way you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't want the entire conversation to surround this, but it does play a part in prepping for. I mean, in 1998, this province, and like the Northeast U.S. and Ontario and New Brunswick got hammered by an ice storm that knocked out a lot of the province for like weeks. And I wasn't out that long, but a lot of people bought generators after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's funny because City of Montreal has a permanent ban on anything that burns solids, like fireplaces, wood stoves, anything other than a pellet stove. Yeah, because of fine particulate matter and asthmatic people. And I mean, I get that because I'm asthmatic. So on that level, I'm good. But I do love me the smell of a nice burning fire, you know?
Yeah.
But I kind of feel that there were a lot of people whose fireplaces and wood stoves got them through a wintertime power outage that lasted 3 weeks.
For sure. That's an important part of prepping too. Prepping, if you have a fireplace, prepping a stack of wood is a really good assurance.
Mm-hmm.
It's cooking. That's heat.
Yep.
That's water. If you need to boil your water for showers, whatever, like that.
Yep.
That's everything.
Yep. It's it hits on so many things that you don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't think about it until suddenly the crap hits the fan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of infuriating in some ways. And I'm not pissed at anyone else. I'm pissed at me. Knowing as many preppers as I do, knowing that even us bushcrafters are a little preppy, not preppy, not prep schooly, but prepper, just a little preppery. We're not.
Yeah. I got shelves full of camping gear. I mean, I prep that way, I guess.
Well, yeah, me too.
I have a ton of these in my basement.
I don't. I know a guy. There's someone I know. A lot of the people here probably know him as well. He used to hang out with us a lot, Paul Bakima, and his main thing on his channel is IMPs, or I guess in the States you call them MREs.
Yeah.
So he sent me one at one point, um, and there's a surplus store downtown here that sells big boxes with I think 10 in or
Right.
however many in and stuff. And I should be buying some,
Yeah.
but I remember eating them, being handed to them by officers back
Right.
in the day. I'm like, oh God, man, and it's
I guess I won't poop for 2 days. That's what I always thought.
you know, but it's funny because I see them in a different light now. Um, excuse me. I see them in a different light now because I see the usefulness of them more than I used to.
hmm
I see the fact that you can pack meals into a much smaller space than you can buying cans.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and one of these things, I think it's like a little over 2,000 calories in just this one package.
2,000 calories. If I have 2,000 calories a day for a week, I will be very heavy.
hmm
So I mean, it's a very good way to keep your calorie count up, because if you're in a survival situation, you need to keep your calorie count up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I
Yep. And they also have other things like they got sugars, they got caffeine, they have
I got
uh,
everything.
electrolytes, they have all sorts of things in here that it'll really help you a lot.
Yeah. And in fact, maybe we should talk a bit about what foods are a good idea to keep around and what foods are not. Like in terms of, say you live in an apartment in New York. Oh, by the way, Simon wants to get in on this conversation. Should we let him in?
Sure.
Should we let him in? All right, let's let him in. Hey, Simon.
Hey guys,
We're talking about prepping, Simon.
what a nice idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sign of the times when Jesse's talking about prepping. Hey, Hawaii Volcano Squad's here.
What Joe said. Just chill, man. It's gonna. I'll be. Yeah, I know. I'll swim across somewhere.
Are you gonna cross the border to hook it up? Yeah.
I'll throw my tool bag on my shoulder and I'll swim across somewhere. We'll make it happen.
I'm pretty sure you can make it through Lake Superior, right? So
Yeah, right.
You just canoe across that, right?
Yeah, there's got to be like crossings up in the Northeast that, like, I know there's towns up in like Maine. They're like half on.
Oh yeah.
Off. So
Even
they
in
don't
Quebec.
that. So just drive. You got to drive way over to that corner and cross.
Yes.
You'll be fine.
Yes, Stansted and
and Derby Line.
Derby Line in Vermont. Yes, they're right on border.
Yeah.
In fact, they're so on the border that the town library, which also has a small theater in it, is half in one country, half in the other. I used to work for an operetta society, and we would hit Stansted / Derby Line during our tours, and the entire audience, except for 2 chairs at the front, was in the United States, and the stage and backstage was in Canada.
That's wild.
So just get your butt to Derby Line, cross over into Stansted, and then I'll make sure you get to Ontario good and safe.
All right.
That town changed after 9/11, let me tell you, because it used to be,
Geez, yes.
Walk to the dépanneur on the American side, buy a chocolate bar, and walk back, and suddenly, no. You go to the border crossing, tell them that you're going to the dépanneur to buy a chocolate bar, and then you go back. And,
That's crazy.
anyways, that's not prepping related.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, it might be.
Oh, hey, Grace. How's it going? Nice to see you.
I tried to join in a bit before my computer crashed, but that's another story. You were talking about canning, especially the mason jar.
Yeah.
Do you know that you can actually seal those jar and prep them into a microwave, even with the lid on?
Huh. Metal lids.
Yikes.
With
No way.
the lid. No issues whatsoever, by the way.
How would that work?
What?
Okay. That's mainly why I'm asked to join. Mainly in the microwave, you got the control panel, right?
Yeah.
And behind this, there's the antenna, the 500 1500 watt magnetron. It is called.
Hmm.
Well, a magnetron, like any other antennas, emits like a torus. So it's basically a big donut
Yeah, big donut shape.
with with literally nothing in the middle.
Mhm.
So with a can, I don't mean the smallest one. I mean the tallest one.
Mhm.
If you put it straight into the microwave at the in its middle, the waveform will not hit the lid.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
And I've done it for years.
Huh.
Yeah, if I
Does
test
that work
this,
with any metal object, really? If you have it directly in the center? Or...
Straight in the center, you won't get any problems.
Weird.
Simo,
Even if the plate spins, doesn't
You
matter.
you don't need to spin it. That's the whole point.
Well, I mean, like, even if it does, if it rotates, it won't affect it still.
Well, the motor will always be in the middle, but
Yeah.
you're putting in the can on top of it.
Wow,
So
that's pretty wild. I had no
it
idea.
won't matter.
I thought metal anywhere in a microwave was a terrible idea.
Nope. There's some places where you can have metal, but most of it can, and that specific business case can work and will work, and I'm doing it each year without any issues.
very interesting.
That is interesting.
Sorry, that's the RF guy that speaks here.
Hold on a sec. Someone. Hold on a second.
So yeah, there's absolutely no issues whatsoever.
I
Try
got
it with an old microwave if you want to.
I got a cool prepper thing I actually did once. There's this channel. Look it up. There's a couple channels. This guy named Joe in Minnesota. He runs a channel called Joe and Zach Survival, and he has a channel called Northern Seclusion. And he did he cans butter for this place. He has a remote off-grid location in northern
Minnesota.
And he cans butter and he takes it up there and it stays in the jars for a long time. And I tried it and it works. I have canned butter in my pantry and it's very simple to do.
And because it's in a vacuum, it doesn't, like, bacteria doesn't develop.
Exactly.
Right. Because my first question was going to be, what, does he clarify it first or something or anything?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he made a video on it. That's why I brought up the channel. He made a video on how to do it. A very thorough video on exactly how to do it, how he does it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that sort of hits on where I think maybe we should sort of try to get back into. Like, there are certain foods that make a lot of sense to pack away, and then there's a bunch of stuff that kind of doesn't.
No. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you live in an apartment in Chelsea in New York, well, if you live in an apartment in Chelsea in New York, you make way too much money. I briefly lived. No, I tried to live in New York, and the job was not interesting, so I came back home very, very soon. But it was a little apartment in Chelsea. There were like 4 of us living in this 1.5 or 2.5. Like, so I had to sleep in the tub, and it was like $1,600 a month.
Ooh.
I mean, this is the early 90s, mid to late 90s. I don't want to know what it costs now. But what I meant to say was, if you're in that kind of small area, right, you're not a homesteader.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have like a garage full of food. If you're in a really small, or a Montreal apartment, some Montreal apartments, a 1.5 is a pretty small place. Is that what they call a bachelor in the States, Simo?
It is.
Okay. So if you're in a bachelor, you don't have enough room to prep for 3 months worth of.
Right. Yeah. You only have so much pantry space, so much closet space. Like, yeah.
So like what? This is where canning, rather than buying cans, might be very useful because you know exactly the size of everything you're buying.
Right.
Right. You decide it's all going to be 500 milliliter jars, whatever the hell that is. Okay, I can plan for this many jars. If you're the type who decides you want MREs, family 4 for 3 months, figure it out.
Expensive.
Yeah. Holy crap, expensive. Costco in Canada sells I think it's a month supply for a family of 4, or maybe it's a 2 month. Simone probably knows this.
Of what? I'm sorry.
Of like emergency food, comes in those 5 gallon.
Oh, they're not MREs. They are
No, no.
only on the website, I believe.
Yeah. And they come in
And
those, like, it's a bunch of those 5 gallon, and
Yeah.
it's all freeze dried food or something, right?
Yeah,
But it's like
But-
$6,000.
but they used to sell a civilian version of MREs at Costco Canada.
But what I'm saying is, like, when you buy into like these prepared things, like this pallet of 5 gallon pails.
What are you gonna do with that for one?
Well, find a place for it, right? And it's $6,000.
Yeah.
I'm not spending $6,000 on food right up front.
No. Yeah. It's insane. These are, I think, about $7.50 US a piece, something like that.
$7.50. So yeah, it's about the same as you'd spend up here. They're about $10, 10 to 15. Simone, did you get my private message, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny what Alain says here, because this really plays right into what I was saying. I live in a 4.5 and still feel like I have no place to store my groceries after I come back from Costco, let alone prepped food. That is partly, Alain, as I know well, a function of Costco selling you too much of everything.
Yeah.
Go to Costco for the toilet paper, but you go for, I don't know, peanut butter, and you end up with like 8 cans, jars of peanut butter shrink wrapped together. It's like, I don't need this much peanut butter. So Costco is good for some things, but not for everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Costco is actually a good place to go if you're looking to, like, if your idea of prepping is to buy canned goods. It's excellent because the price per can is very reasonable, even in Canadian dollars. But if you're looking at doing what we were talking about, canning your own, you can't beat it, man.
Oh, you can't. And you know exactly what's going into it. There's no processed chemicals and stuff like that.
You're doing your own.
Fresh. When it was, the exact date it was done. Your own portion sizes. You make it exactly to your taste palette.
And you can't beat doing your own quality control. Hey, right. I think Simone's having wine tonight. That's very hoity-toity.
That's hot, right?
Mm-hmm. LT, man, I have not spoken to you in months.
Well,
me neither.
We all didn't spoke with him in months, so
yeah, since June.
So let's switch in French, at least, so we can update each other.
Yeah, let's alienate.
I'll just sit here and drink, man.
You just have some drinks. Hey, Grace Martin says she buys MREs occasionally at an army base about $5 each.
See, when I would go to the PX, I was in the military too, and where I was stationed at the PX, they were still like $7 a piece. That was back in like 2013. So
you know how much an MRE costs?
What, like to buy or to make?
Just to make.
To make? No idea.
I'm not sure.
I was told that specifically for U.S. military, the average price is, I believe it's $13.
I believe it.
To make them?
Yeah.
Well, if you go to
the Canadian Forces MREs used to cost $14.50 on average.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to their surplus store here in Canada, you will pay like $159, $200 for a case of 12. So that makes for $15 a MRE.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a place here in Montreal, LT, that'll sell them for, I think it's $110 for a case.
Well, they are out of stock anyway, so.
Yeah, they're out of stock. They've been out of stock for a while, so now they're out of stock.
Yeah, well, the couple of weeks ago, they had a post on saying, hey, we do have MREs, and they were saying, like, come fast because they're going.
Oh,
and they were going fast.
Yeah.
Even TPs were really difficult.
Brother Love says, perhaps the best prepping skill ever is to be on good terms with a Hutterite colony. Let them prep for you. He calls it the ultimate cheat code. Oh, okay. Grace is clarifying why she gets them for $5 each when they have an overstock.
Oh, it's not the commissary. Gotcha.
Okay, that clarifies everything.
That's quite lucky to have them at $5.
Yeah,
That's I
I,
believe it's
or you can just do what
the
I did and steal a bunch of cases before you get out.
You can't.
I had like 9
You are
cases.
being a bad influence on my viewers. A bad influence. Do you think you could send me a case?
I stole so much stuff before I got out of the army. Oh man.
at
I,
some
I,
point the cadets in Canada were only issued MREs, US MREs.
we're
Uh,
still.
you're still
Yeah, well, last exercise we were on last just a week, like not even a month before we had the shutdown.
okay.
The We had the new batch of MREs for cadets. I think we received the first issue of the new batch because they had bought in Afghanistan when the force deployed. They had bought containers of American MREs, which was the menu of the Americans,
Okay.
and the new one seems to have more, or on more of the meals have hydrolytes, the juice thing
Mm-hmm.
to boost you up a bit, and have more of a controlled menu for the kids. So we have the same menus for meals, but we have the electrolytes and the more juice in there. So you hot chocolate and electrolytes are like in every single meals instead of one in two or three. So it
Okay.
seems that they adapted that for cadets. It's probably less expensive than the Canadian one. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's because the quality is worse. I think it's because the fact is that country is 10 times the size of ours. So whenever
And
they
that
manufacture anything,
and
the
and
economies
U.S.
of
military is
scale.
actually 25 times the size of the Canadian one.
Yeah, so
that
economies of scale just kick right in. You know, absolutely.
yeah, and also we're collaborating a lot with the U.S. Army,
Yep.
with the U.S. supply system. So that's probably easier for the National Reserve. I mean, the reserve of MREs for operational thing to be supplemented with that chain of supply instead of ours, which is tremendously outdated and difficult to even keep uniforms in. I mean, Jesus Christ, we can't change a button in place and issue everyone the same freaking uniforms.
Mhm.
That's incredible.
I know that Jesse don't like to talk about this, but if you were comparing price of ammo, only 5.56 for Canadian forces made in Canada compared to U.S. It was like the Canadian one was like 3.5 times the price of the U.S. one.
Yeah.
Totally crazy.
But it
It
still
is
makes sense because of
basically
economies of scale, right? I mean,
yeah.
we can't buy enough raw materials compared to them to, Um, Zach said something interesting, actually. What he stocks is honey, herbs wurst. I guess that's a kind of dried
That's
sausage, pilot bread, peanut butter, yeast, bakers and brewers, and freeze dried snacks from Thrive Life. I don't know Thrive Life,
Thrive Life is a Utah-based company with kind of Canadian website
but are they like the
with
just
U.S. prices.
freeze dried like those?
Freeze dried, yes.
Um, because that plays right into what we were talking about. Like even in my house here, if I'm going to be stocking stuff, I want to save space, right? Because there are four of us living here. One of us is very very small, but she still takes up a lot of room in terms of running around and messing everything up, right? So to me, the amount of space your food stocks and your toilet paper stocks and everything takes up is it's an important point. I especially because I do want to solarize my house at one point. In which case, in my basement here, I'm going to need a 6 foot length to put batteries in,
Mhm.
right? So it's like that'll take out part of my cold room. I
Yeah.
want a cold room. I have a cold room, but it's just because it's a half unfinished basement. So believe me, when I'm in there and I'm working, and in the middle of winter, it's cold.
Jesse, that's a very good idea that you got to solarize your house. Forget about it. there's no economy of scale of doing it, especially with the crazy prices that we enjoy in Quebec. People think it's too expensive. Let me tell you that every single every single one aside of Quebecers are screaming at their electricity bills.
Well,
Well-
I mean, we're luckier than they are in Ontario, that's for sure.
Oh, not even in Ontario. I'm just probably even Eaton have as right now electricity bill 4 to 5 times higher than ours.
Let's see. Trying to see what it is usually. Typically, my electric bill is around 40 to bucks a month, but they add in all the stuff because I live in town right now, so they add in the water, the trash, all
Yeah,
that, the wastewater, the septic.
You do have gas or oil as well.
I do. I have natural gas, which is my heat and my stove and my hot water.
Oh, you have a
Okay.
gas stove.
Yes.
Oh,
So your gas bill, when combined to electricity, is probably like 200-ish bucks.
No, never. It's natural gas, so it's super cheap here.
Okay.
Even running my furnace full time in the winter, my natural gas bill is maybe like 120 at the most, and that's January.
So let's put it that way. In Quebec right now, my house, my full house, which is not big, not small. I'm at 150 a month for electricity, no gas.
yeah, we're more than that. Not hugely more than that. I think we're like,
And I'm including just HVAC all year round.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I have not a diesel, but
A gas
For my-
generator.
le fuel là, à l'huile.
Oh, oil furnace.
I have an oil furnace, and that will run me up to almost 3,000 a year for the whole block, which is 2 apartments. And electricity, because I don't run the heat, is about 120 for 2 months, so 60 bucks a month in winter. But I don't have no heat on that. In the summer, I'll double that up with the pool, and if I have any fans, or I don't have any ACs on that. So
Yeah, I'm
even
on
though our electricity
100% electricity here.
say what?
I'm on totally electricity. I don't have access to natural gas
Yeah.
at all.
Do you guys
Because
have geothermal there? Is that a thing in Canada? Geothermal?
There's some geothermal,
You could.
but geothermal is kind of weird here because Quebec is mostly on the Canadian Shield.
That is
very
Yeah.
hard to.
So there's
a
and
lot
even
around here. Yeah.
I'm living in a suburb of Montreal right now, and right now the hard rock is actually 7 feet underground.
Ah.
So drilling it is just forget about it.
Yeah.
There's
And,
nothing.
and also for shallow, you only get 4 degrees. 4
no,
degrees
forget it.
C's, like it's pre-warming your water if you wish. Maybe keep your driveway from having some snow, not all of it. So
That's
it's not
probably
good.
why there's no gas lines and stuff for you guys too, for the most part, because that's probably expensive to trench in that hard stuff.
Well, they pass the gas in beside the utility in the streets, so it's only an economy of mass. If you have
Yeah.
like 80% of the house that will take the gas, then they'll pass it. Most of the line are run in Quebec City, so they're available. But
I'm living in a city comparable to LT, and the gas pipeline is actually ending at 300 feet from my house, and they won't extend it.
Really?
No, they won't extend it. Forget
Wait.
about it.
You can pay to have it extended, though. Okay,
Oh yeah,
sure.
it
I mean, it's too
would-
expensive, but
well, it was 40K 8 years ago when I asked for it.
That's unreal.
for me, like the only reason why I would really care about natural gas is because I miss having around here. 2 kinds of people have a gas stove: stuff eating poor and upper crust, right? Everyone in the middle kind of, well, some people do, but generally speaking, I live in an okay neighborhood, no gas stove, but like old neighborhoods that have sort of gone
Yeah.
to seed, lots of gas stoves. And of course, people who are upper crust are like, I would like a gas stove, please. Um, but man, you can't beat it for cooking. You just can't.
You might, but in my case, I wanted natural gas for only one reason: generator.
Mhm.
Because running a generator on natural gas, it is still you can still run it on propane, you can still run it on gasoline,
Yeah,
but it's an endless supply as
right.
long as you got natural gas in the pipe.
Yep, that's all you have. Natural gas is just goes and goes and goes.
So
Yeah.
from there, running a 17 or 25 kV
Mhm.
kW, and it's cheap.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah. My dad has a natural gas barbecue,
Oh yeah, that's cool too.
which I think is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that's
But on
awesome.
my hand, I wanted natural gas only to get a generator at first, then other stuff.
I want to bounce back to something that Zach Fudge said. He says Herbwurst is a dried compressed pea soup in tablet form.
Yep.
6 tablets wrapped in paper like rockets.
Oh, I know what
It's
that is now.
It is like, I don't know, 6 inches long, about an inch in diameter or so.
This sounds like something that was invented in like 1948 or 1952. You know, like
sorry,
back
sorry
when
about this, 1920s.
really? Because
Yeah.
it's sort of like historical because
It was actually standard issue for German army during World War II
well, that would explain the name
with hardtack.
with hardtack.
Yep. That was their emergency rations.
Okay.
Actually, the in Range TV released today something about herbivores and the German ration during World War II.
I'm Avid.
was manufactured
Ethan
today.
just brought something up that I guess I'll show. What is this?
This is a really great channel if you want to learn a lot about
Yeah.
MREs and prepping. This guy knows his stuff.
Okay.
You should check it out. And he's got a whole list over here of people who do this stuff.
Okay.
On the side. They talk about MREs. So if you want to learn about MREs and stuff like that, I forgot about this guy until now.
Okay.
So, yeah,
He's still there.
Whoa.
It's okay. I'll shut that down. There we go. Simon, do you have the URL for that? Can you share?
I'll do my best.
If not, I'll make.
Yeah.
Because you know me, so I'll make sure to get it.
Well, I just figure you always have. It's like 2 seconds into any conversation, the URL goes boop. I'm like, okay, because obviously he knew that one too.
Well, time to time, I'm when I'm not live, I'm just listening to conversation and trying to hop up and try to get it to work ASAP. So
right.
Yeah, just sub, but I'm not sure I can add it.
By the way, everyone say bye to creative redundancy, slipping out, done for the night. So thanks. Did anyone watch the one where he eats a Boer war ration? Oh, that would be interesting.
He eats crazy rations on that channel.
Forget about it. I'm not gonna do it.
People send them to him because I mean he has really great reviews on these things. There's something really calming about him opening all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really addicting to watch.
It's sort of zen out.
Yeah, and it's just he gives really great, honest reviews, and he knows a lot about MREs, a lot of facts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's entertaining.
Yeah, is he eating the old 1945 stuff, or is just opening it?
Yeah, he eats as much as he can from the oldest MREs he has. He'll eat whatever he can.
Interesting.
God.
Yeah,
I see some weird stuff in there.
Like the early 1900s MREs.
Right. And by the way,
that's even worse.
What?
He got
I'm sorry. Herbivores is actually as old as Canada.
Wow, 1867?
Yes.
Oh. I wonder if there's any of the
Okay.
original ones around still.
So, okay,
Oh my
right
God, this is a
one.
good
I'm gonna
sketch.
post that. I'm gonna post the link to that one right
Um,
there.
but you guys in the I just popped the microphone. Sorry, guys. You guys in the side chat there. How many of you guys have some supplies socked away? If Joe's still around, I'd love to know because you got a nice, fairly spacious new place. Are you sort of packing up? Because here's another thing: you don't have to be crazy about um, zombies attacking to want to pack some stuff away, especially if you live out where utilities may cut out on you. Maybe your road's not going to get plowed during certain parts of the winter, or if everything goes to hell, your road's not going to get plowed. Here in Montreal, if the road doesn't get plowed, I'll climb over the damned um, snow drifts and I'll get to where I want to go.
Right. Snowmobiles.
Even like if you're living out, well, actually, maybe people who live out in the sticks are in a better shape than we are because they have snowmobiles.
Mm-hmm.
I have no place to put one here. I don't have a whatever those kettle are called in English.
4-wheeler.
4-wheelers. I don't have one of those either because there's no place to put one. I don't even have room for a trailer here.
Man,
Well, you don't have space for a garden anyway, so.
you need to move, man.
Yeah, but like here's the deal. I could technically work from home because of what I do, but the madame, there's no way. We're stuck where we are because what I would like. I'm not into like suburbia, right? I want to either be in the city because of the stuff that is available in a city, or I want my next neighbor to be a kilometer away.
Really?
That everything in between those, I'm like, okay, like I'm one neighborhood away from suburbia here,
Yeah.
and I would love to be out where my house is surrounded by woods. I would love it. I would love it. But the thing is, here, that means you're driving probably 2 hours to get to Montreal to go to work.
See, that's not the case around here. I mean, if you can be surrounded by woods and be 15 minutes outside of.
Well, the main issue with Montreal is actually the main Montreal is actually situated on an island.
Yeah.
Yeah. The genius island, because anything to go from and towards is on a freaking bridge.
Yep.
The 11 bridge, and they can get in and out quickly. I mean, that's.
There's not 11. There's 19 actually.
But
yeah, well.
But that's not even. Hey, Tyler Woods here. How's it going?
Think about it. Some of them you jump to the next island, which is Laval.
Yeah.
Then you have to jump again towards the mainland. And then you're going nowhere because there's no road going anywhere fast. So, I mean,
I think the real problem is that Montreal's 400 years old. So there's been 4 centuries of stuff being built up further and further out.
Quebec City is 400 years old, and it's still with congestion going faster than Montreal.
Yeah,
well,
because you can bypass highways.
Yeah, but Quebec City has all the decision makers that want to get back home fast.
Yeah. Yeah, we bundle them up in 5 kilometers square. Like 1,000 people in 5 kilometers square working, and then all bugging out towards their house in suburbia. Yeah, that was really smart. They found that out with this event. That was smart. 1,000 people in the tower. Yeah, really smart. They had 2 events in one of the towers here of contamination. Yeah, they had to decon the whole G-plex. The whole damn 34 stories. Yeah, for 2 buddies that were working on 2 different levels. That was amazing.
And that's an old skyscraper. So that's even worse.
So we just proved in Quebec City that a tram is not a good idea. A metro, it's an even worse one. And that we should put all those government buildings spread towards the whole damn city instead in one spot, because that would make sense.
I like what Alain says here. Yes, I hate living in Montreal when it comes to outdoors. There are a lot of parks, but it takes forever to get anywhere remote. But work is here.
Yep.
That is my life.
Unfortunately.
That is my life right there. And then Grace, actually, this is something that I hadn't really thought of, but it's a good point. Grace says, I've got a decent stockpile mainly because I'm a couponer. So buys cheap, stacks deep, not an avid prepper, but I do have some prepper tendencies. Family of four, we could last 2 months probably. See, if I didn't have to go to the supermarché, the
Yeah,
supermarket for like 2 months, I would consider that winning
There's
right now.
there's something to be considered with this. Couponing in Quebec or Canada
It's
is
not the same.
not like in US.
Yeah,
It's a zero gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only use one coupon on one item.
And you cannot add them up, and you cannot.
and you can't pile up your coupons here the way you can in the States.
And often you're limited in quantities. There's no quantity accounting, and there's nothing. You gain nothing by couponing besides getting towards the store or multiple store buying whatever is left in special. So
Yeah, that's the thing, right? In a time equals money world, couponing in Canada is not worth it.
nope.
It's not worth cutting it out of the magazine.
Often you get it cheaper at the store already on the shelf.
Because
you
they've got
can
a
get
sale.
it with the coupon.
From my understanding, it's not really a thing anymore down here anyway. It's just like Walmart, especially, they do like price match or lowest price guarantee. And it's like automatic. It automatically changes it, like the lowest price. So
In Canada, you got to bring it up so they can match the price, and you got to prove it.
You got to
That's
show
the
it.
big problem. So you got a coupon, but you bring all those flyers to Walmart to say, "Hey, I wanted this price." But if you're not buying anything else in Walmart, it's not worth being there. Go to the other store.
Yep.
So, and our money and our taxes. I mean, they just cut our buying power by half of what the States is, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, it's cool because Grace has worked it out so that she can put 2 months of stuff away. And I think that the main takeaway from that is find a way to not blow all your money on this.
Yeah.
Because if you lose your job before the crap even hits the fan, not if you lose your job, but if you bankrupt yourself,
you're in trouble.
You got to be smart.
I'd like to answer two
Here's some random
questions.
facts for you. 70% of Americans right now have less than $1,000 saved in their savings. 70%.
I'd say 90% of Canadians don't even have $500.
No more. It's about the same. I'd like to answer two questions from the comments in the chat. First of all, to Dr. Sharp, couponing does well. It is not the tax system. It is mainly the transport and the way that our money is actually exchanged compared to US dollar. That couponing is not rewarded. The other thing is price check on gasoline prices in Canada. Right now in my neighborhood, it is 76.9 cent per liter, which should be close to $2.15 a gallon in US dollars.
I'm curious. I'm going to go look at the gas station sign right now, see what it is.
Ethan.
God damn. We got to drive like 15 minutes to get gas.
Yeah, he's just getting up, peeking at his front door.
Yeah.
Just looking at, okay, yes, this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about
And
price.
it's probably Bob, my best drinking buddy, that's owning the gas station. Right?
It's $1.54 a gallon here.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Well, we should be paying like 50. We should be paying about 50 cents a liter. So we're paying about 75 because there's a floor price, which basically is government blocking our account from the company because we're paying price at like.
Yeah, well, they were fearful, and to be honest, yes, of price jacking after that all independents were out of business.
Mhm.
That's the main reason why they put a floor price.
Yeah, but they put a floor price, not a
That's
roof
that's
price.
that's a totally another story for this.
Yeah, that's
And I
that's,
bel-
that's
But
But you know,
I believe that Nova Scotia does have a floor and a ceiling price.
yeah, but it's government control. So basically, you're not gaining anything because government
Yep.
say, "Hey, don't sell lower than this because hey, I got to make taxes." And then the top is because well, maybe somebody's going to abuse and I'm going to make too much taxes out.
Geez, I'm moving to Hawaii. $3.69 a gallon.
Here's an idea. Prepping by saving gasoline. Is it a good idea or not?
It is.
well, I was about to say, like, what part does your local gas price play into prepping? Like, for what would you need to have um, those gas?
20
You don't
gallon,
need
yeah.
you don't need a lot. You need gas to get out if need be.
Mhm.
You got to keep your tank full.
Well, first
Like,
of all,
what else would you use gas for? Because up until I was today years old when I learned that generators aren't something that you go fill out one of those little cans and then fill them with. Okay, so like, uh, like what would you would need like a bit of a mix for if you have a chainsaw. You may need a working
the
chainsaw at some point.
the mixed gas is something totally dependent on what engine do you have.
Yeah.
Because mixed gas, you won't get the same ratios into, let's say, a chainsaw than into a lawnmower or a
Yeah, but-
snowblower.
So you
That
keep
doesn't
your
matter.
regular unleaded gas, and then you keep your oil separate. And
Yeah.
mix it.
Yeah,
Because most
and a
generators
separate
aren't.
and a
Most
separate
generator
can
are-
for each.
But
Right.
that doesn't affect my question. Though. My question is like, like, because the thing is, gas doesn't last. You're not going to have a can of gas that's going to last you a year, right?
Right.
Okay.
I think Tyler Wood said something about last
6 months,
no,
maybe?
6 months, which sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Let me check out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no gas has a shelf life of 6 months.
Small
Okay.
engines should be run on high octane, Supreme / Super / whatever it is named. That's
Oh, yeah?
first thing.
Snowblower
It
is
should be
run
also
on
without
ordinary.
any ethanol. No, so
Mhm.
no.
Not so much in Canada either.
It is on regular gas, by the way. It is mandatory for 10% at least.
So,
So-
say you buy 2, 3, 5 gallon cans, fill them up every 4 months, then just pour them in your car and use them
Right.
as your daily driver, and then just fill them back up, save them for 4 months, put them in your car again.
Yeah.
That's something
Just
that I
that
I
cycle.
think Costco got 220 liters, 5 gallons for
25
like
bucks.
26. Yeah, I've seen that last time I was there. So basically, if you had those, when the gas is cheap, buy more and then try to use that to extend yourself towards a cheaper price, which is really difficult in Quebec. But then you have always gas. And I'm using them for the snow blowers, so I buy them for the winter often. I end up putting it in the car because I have leftovers. Like I have leftovers of about 10 liters right now. So
Well,
Yeah.
Tyler Woods said something that sort of plays into this, that he puts additive in.
yeah,
Good
there
idea.
is.
Yeah.
If he can extend that from 4 months to 8 months, then that's still kind of winning,
Yep.
Yep.
in my opinion.
I
But like
mean,
it's so like.
I do have.
Here's the thing: if everything hits the fan, if everything really hits the fan, which I mean, now we're sort of walking almost into like Walking Dead fantasy. Okay, but let's just play with. It's a thought experiment. Okay,
But
everything
we
really.
experiment that a little right now. I mean, with the COVID, it's very little, but you have a taste. Well, what's going to happen if a bigger thing happens?
Well, yeah, like at the beginning of the live stream, I was talking about the impending superbug and everything. But right now, we're going to call it a thought experiment, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people sort of, man, these guys like emotionally masturbate about the idea that the world is going to end and they're going to be able to live their prepper fantasies, okay? I don't want to go there because that's not my jam. But let's say that everything went south for 6 months. I mean, everything stopped for 6 months.
Like a Great Depression, pretty much. Like
Yeah, something like that. What? Let's say like everything is stopped. Okay, you're not going to get any more gas. You've got a 4 month supply, which you've extended to 8 months because you're Tyler, and you're smart enough to buy additive. Okay.
Well,
So after that
I'm not Tyler, but I do have additives.
After that amount of time, just assume that your chainsaw, like all your gas, is no longer going to be good. What do you do to prepare for when your chainsaw doesn't work and your generator doesn't work and this and that?
Well,
All right, what
I mean, for tools, you have hand tools.
See you later, brother.
The good old ones for the tools. But I mean, for your car, how do you run it if you don't have any gas? So you'll have to abandon the car eventually, and you're barefoot. But depends. Are you still working, or are you wishing just to bug out or to get to a safer place?
Right. I'd say at the point of it, if you're 6 months in and everything went so south that you're 6 months in and you're running out of your gas supply, I think at that point it's just safe to assume you need to bug out. Like it's just
Well,
Yeah, because then
you're too late.
you've exhausted your bug-in supply.
Yeah,
Right, right.
and you're too late.
Yeah,
If
and
you
you're too late.
exhausted the gas, you're too late
Yeah.
But
to bug out
that's-
because
Or
you
like
lost.
you get to the
you-
point where I have just enough gas to get to bug out, to get out. That's
Yeah.
where you stop and you make the decision. I've exhausted like you just said, all of my resources here and my bug in location. There's nothing left here for us. We can't survive here anymore. Time to take the skills that we have and move them to a proper location where we can use them to survive.
And
But
it's
the
funny
thing-
because what Tenenbaum says here, because he lives in Europe, right? And he's saying it's not so crazy. In Italy, at this point, some people are running out of food and have no money and no way to get money or help. They are not that far from civil strife in places. So maybe we are not that. Like there's only 3 days worth of food in your shopping in your épicerie there,
supermarket.
Your shop,
supermarket, right?
supermarket.
This is not a problem because there's always food coming in.
Right.
Right? Like the shortages we're experiencing right now are all synthetic. It's all because someone said,
all
"Oh, they got toilet paper. I'm going to buy it all."
Right.
Well,
Because I'm an idiot. But like,
Yeah, buys for 2 years of toilet paper for 2 persons.
they aren't all synthetic, mainly because some slaughterhouse and some transformation.
Right. The trickle
Plan.
down will affect it a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
They're just shutting down because of employees that are sick, and they just don't want to contaminate the food supply.
Yeah,
Which is fine.
but why don't we have B plants on that? I mean, if there's another slaughter, there should be another slaughterhouse that's clean.
That's something else that as Quebecers we're going to need to address. Things will change a lot after this pandemic, and that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of things that they have to be considered as normal. They're gonna have to have double up the capacity. I mean, making masks, making medical supplies, making our own drugs, because I don't think we have the chloroquine available in Quebec, because everyone that had rheumatis, they were told, well, no more.
But we're lucky in a way, in the way that we do have pharmaceutical companies that's well established in Quebec.
Some
Switching from one drug to another, we
that is,
already have
yeah.
the chain of manufacturing established.
bye, Alex.
That's
Have a good night.
That is, yeah. That is if the company has access to the brevet in English.
the patents, but
The patents, if they're available. Chloroquine is an old one, so
Yeah.
that's available. That's easy to make. The ingredient, because we import a lot of things here in Canada.
we're importing
that
a
we
lot of
need.
things, but I believe that, well, I'm sure that government officials right now and the civil society, if I can put it that way, will consider a lot more self-sufficiency, not to exclude foreign suppliers, not at all,
Yeah. And
but
think about it, Simon.
yeah,
Uh,
See you later,
we
Ted.
have a national reserve of emergency clothing and mask and everything,
yep.
but that went somewhere that we don't know about anywhere, and it disappeared before the outbreak.
Do you
So
know where it went?
China, we sent it with the 16 ton to China. Yeah,
Actually,
that would be a
yes,
crazy.
yes. The worst is most of it were literally outdated.
They throw it out.
Yeah,
Most likely, I
they
mean,
were just expired.
yeah, if the Canadian government were to make stockpiles to have an emergency preparedness, why in the heck didn't they rotate the dates? At 2 years to expiry, send it to the hospital, buy a new batch. So basically, you sell it to the hospitals and
Yeah,
buy a
yeah,
new batch.
yeah, yeah.
And
But
we're all government.
And this is exactly what I was talking about
Yeah,
the canned goods
but
at the
that
beginning of this, right?
but
you
that
got to
would
rotate your freaking stock, not just
Yeah.
buy and then
yeah,
forget
but
about it.
that would be
Right.
too easy.
I'd say
Yeah.
one thing that for sure, after all of this, for me personally, is I'm going to take a lot better notice of expiration dates on things.
I think that's
yes.
critical. I think it's critical, especially if you start to build up a
Yep.
selection of. Well, it's not only canned goods, right? I mean, we've been
MREs.
bring on about canned goods, but you've got meds.
It is
Mhm.
rotation. Yeah.
You know, you just
I
got to
mean,
start paying much more. It's funny because I was reaching for I don't know, like Tylenol or something. No, it was a vitamin pill. I was reaching for the vitamins, and I just, for some reason, I just looked at the bottle, and it went bad in October 2019.
Mhm.
that's fine because
I
your
never looked.
vitamins probably 2019 is not bad. Expiry date on medication, the requirement by the law, okay, because I worked in that domain for a while and I was picking up stuff that were expired. Expiry date are made to remove from seller's shelf,
Mhm.
not your house. So the requirement is that the full force of the medication inside is still valid by the expiry date. When the seller has it on his shelf, it is mandatory to remove it, have it replaced by the distributor, so that he has always something that has many years or many months.
Mhm.
Yep.
Then you have it at home, but that expiry date means nothing to you because it's the full force of the medication in there, the stability of the medication. So after that, like a yogurt, you can be 2, 3 months in perfect condition, and the thing is still perfectly good.
Yeah,
It
I knew
might
that
be
about.
less
I wasn't sure
effective.
about drugs,
Yeah,
which makes
drugs
no
might
sense.
be less effective, but they will not stop working. They
The
will less work slowly, going down in efficiency.
well, it really depends on which drug we're
If it's an
speaking about.
injection, then it's going to go south.
Yep.
But a pill basically is a very stable thing. So
Yeah.
your Tylenol that expired 2 years ago are still good. They might not be as good as they were, but they will be good.
The hard
So
one will be, the
yeah,
gel one might not.
well, liquids is the more difficult. They'll
Yeah.
turn like most liquids, but that's the thing. I mean, not because the drug is expired that is completely wrong. It is not necessarily as efficient as it should be. Like I think Jesse, you have EpiPens.
Yep.
So
I do
you
too.
keep
Well, EpiPen
you
Junior,
do too. So you keep those old ones instead of throwing them out. And in case you ran out of an EpiPen, you can use those. It might still work. It's better than nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
The
Although I
that
do have to say, LT, unfortunately, um, they're
the
not going stale in our house.
yeah. Oh no, that much. Oh,
We've been
that.
in the past year. We've been to the hospital 4 times.
Ooh, okay.
That's a lot of money in ambulance fees.
Yeah,
Um,
that.
I just realized how stupid that sounded with an American on screen here. I'm sorry.
Like,
To me, a lot of money for for an ambulance is $124.96. Sorry. Like as soon as I said it, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm such an asshole.
oh, that's
Sorry.
You know, we've got universal health care, but it's costing us a lot of money ahead of times. You know,
yeah.
your 5% income tax, we're at 36% minimal. That's the minimal you pay. So you got to consider that we pay ahead a lot of money
Yeah,
ahead.
but I'm okay
So,
with that. I mean, and now we're getting political, so I want to move
but
on. But I mean, um,
Actually, I just want to put the nail in the coffin for this. U.S. per capita spends about $10,000 per year per habitant in U.S. Right, while
Mhm.
Canada spend $5,000 on healthcare to get universal healthcare.
Hmm.
So
but use or use not insurance
yes,
or not.
exactly.
So there are some good perks. There are some bad perks. Overall, I mean, if you have a heart surgery, I mean, you're happy that you have the good perks,
Yeah.
but uh, you have to pay ahead most of it. So
yeah,
But you know what? I'm fine with this. So
yeah, I'm fine with it too. I have no
That's
problem
the
with
thing. Medical supplies for prepping. How far should you really go with medical
that.
supplies?
That's
that's
what
very
I was
difficult.
about to say, Ethan, because it totally fed right into that. Like, you know,
How far
I'd
can
say
you go?
Well, I
I'd
mean, I
say
guess it all depends on your skill level medically.
well that's my first point. Are you
Yeah,
trained
but
for?
medication, a commercially made medication, have an extended a certain lifespan,
We'll,
and
we'll say we'll leave medications out of it though, like strictly medical, like gear, bandages,
Fine,
uh,
oh,
fine.
equipment.
okay,
First thing,
equipment stockpile.
yeah. But first thing, get trained.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I guess it all depends on your skill level, really.
Yeah,
Get trained.
Because
my
there's
wife's
people
Don't
in,
don't
having
buy
all this
anything
stuff and you
yeah,
without.
have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah,
yeah.
get trained
I'm
first.
former military. Simon is also. My wife is an assistant nurse. Uh, Medical material I got.
Hmm.
Sometimes I have suture removal kits. Keep that, even though they don't still be sterilized. A clean medical kit is better than a
Yep.
sterile material. I mean, that and beside using your T-shirt
Yeah.
as a gauze, I mean, I would rather have the clean stuff first and then the
Yep.
T-shirt after.
I mean, if
So,
you got to do it, you got to do it, though.
well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, if you have the better stuff, use the better stuff,
Mhm.
and that you can have as much as you want. Expiry date on gauze, you don't give a damn about it
Yeah.
because
Yep.
expiry date are again for the commercial shelving.
I didn't even know
Again,
there was an expiry date on gauze.
oh
They
yeah,
are.
in the box of 100, they have an expiry date.
Yep.
And the gauze you buy when the envelope turns yellow means that the sterilization is gone.
Right. Okay.
But,
Yeah.
It just
that
refers to
gauze is still
sterilization.
cleaner than
Yep.
your freaking t-shirt.
Yeah.
And that's
So a
the
lot of
thing.
those expiration dates when it comes to the gear, the equipment is just for sterilization.
Yes, sterilization and the seller's shelves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Jesse, can you
Yeah.
please bring the last comment of Mark Bootmans on screen?
This one. Whoops.
Yep, this one.
Yes. And that's a very good point because I have often said that if the world ended tomorrow, the first thing I would do from these survivors is find people that I could build a community with so that A, I don't have to be awake and alert for 24 hours a day.
Oh, yeah.
B, I don't have to be a registered nurse because there will be someone in the community who is. C, like, if you have a small community and a little, and you sort of peg off a piece of land to grow some food and stuff, and you've got someone who's really good at repairing and someone who's really good at whatever hunting or I don't know what, and someone else who's really good at sewing and keeping the the clothing stuff going.
That's
That
why
to me
bugging
is
out
more
is
survival than the lone gunman who I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
That's why bugging out should always be your last choice, and bugging in should always be your first major option. The
Yep.
always the choice, the clear path.
I would add to bugging out your last option being bugging out towards the colony, the
Mm.
group, the
If
the
you bug out as a group, is what you're saying?
well, no, what I mean is you can bug in individually for a while, and
Mhm.
then your community, your building, saying, "Hey, boys, it's time to bug out. So let's meet where we know, and
Yeah.
then meet those group because you want to unify that group. But you've got to train again. Bugging in with people, you got to train because how are you going to know you're going to be after 6 months living like well with those people? There's
Well,
some
and
couples
people
in
have to
here
bring
that
skills
are
to the table, right?
well, the skills to the table, but then you got to be in character with
Skills.
everyone.
Skills.
Skills, but also matching the characters, the individuality.
Yeah.
Yes. But
And guys,
skills first.
I just want to point you guys
Yeah.
out to keep the conversation moving along to something that
Yep.
Tyler Rodriguez has asked to everyone on screen.
I was about to bring this up.
Okay.
Long-lasting medical supplies. Basically anything
I'll be right
that
back,
is.
guys.
Yeah, fine. Revolutions.
Yeah, take over. Like the good old days.
Oh, well, we haven't stopped because you weren't there.
I know. I saw the live pass and I just couldn't make it. Working tomorrow again at 7, so it's
That's
gonna be
fine.
late.
The my point is related to Tyler. Well, basically anything that is static. So gauze, triangular bandages.
Maybe check out military surplus medical supplies. Not necessarily like maybe like tourniquets and stuff like that, but like like SAM splints and like ace band or the ace wrap stuff and like,
basically anything that even if it's not sterilized will do the job is a good thing to keep on.
A good old sewing kit. I mean,
oh yeah, sewing.
You can,
sewing,
yeah.
I never really thought about how critical of a prepping skill sewing could be.
Yeah,
It
because
is.
you can repair clothing, but you can
You can
repair
repair skin.
Yeah,
Like I didn't think about that.
Well,
it's not fun. I'll tell you. I mean, if you're using a large needle on the skin trying to repair skin, you'll be screaming.
Guys, for very small stuff, forget about the
Super glue.
suturing you up. Just use cyanoacrylate, super glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Super glue. Yeah, definitely.
You're an electrician.
Yeah.
Do you have band-aids on your in your tool belt?
The electrician
Like
thing.
little thing.
Yeah. I mean, improvisation of what you have is probably the main critical thing, a skill that you'll need to at least launch you towards a solution.
As a follow-up for Tyler,
yeah,
he's asking, can he re-sterilize prepackaged sutures with alcohol? No.
I don't think you can.
No. You need an autoclave to sterilize things without destroying them. So
and alcohol,
it's not
in
good.
many cases, will actually destroy the because especially in sutures, they're adding some glue most of the time on the thread, and alcohol will mess this up.
Yeah, for Tyler, I think I would instead of re-sterilizing the suturing package, if you don't need all of it, if you protect it from keep it clean, it would be a better solution than trying to use any compound to re-sterilize the thing. Worst come to worst, the needle you can re-sterilize them by heat, flames. Not the best, but could work. But the thread and everything else, the gauze and the field, the towel that they give you to do a field of work, forget about it. I mean, use the cleanest thing you've got. The rest,
Yeah.
Is
Just to add
whatever.
on, 70 or 99% proof alcohol. Your take on this? Because I do have the my opinion on this.
We're using as sterilization.
For whatever.
Yeah.
If you're
I,
using too high an alcohol
in a
product
pinch,
in a pinch, yeah, but on a wound, you'll kill as many good thing as the bad thing,
yeah.
and you'll probably kill the thing underneath you
The
as much as you're trying to save. So
the
And
answer
you're
the
talking about
answer
the 99% there, LT, right?
what?
You're talking about 99% there.
Too
Like
high
how
an
the
alcohol
alcohol.
level,
it
yes.
is too high.
Yep.
So 70 is for especially for first aid and
Yeah.
healthcare, 70 is better than 99.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One thing I
In
learned
my in my shop, I do use 99 because I'm doing a lot of electronics repair.
yeah.
Mm.
But one thing I learned for first aid, I'm not sure from which sources. Don't quote me that much on it, but it's a rule of thumb. Peroxide are not good for open wounds if you like
That's
wash it. It's good to take stuff out. It's
Yeah.
basically
Pulls it
a
out. Yeah.
shampoo. Yes, to
yeah.
pull it out, but it will render the skin like harder to soothe. So
Mm.
the you'll end up with a bigger scar. Uh,
99 sorry, peroxide was out of the health system here in Canada since 90
yeah,
or 91.
it's still a good
Yeah.
shampoo.
I don't know.
What you got there, Ethan?
There's a scar on my thumb. I'm trying to show it, but I can't get the fucking angle. Hold on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, that's from peroxide. I dumped right on it afterwards, and it didn't. It left a pretty good scar.
My lighting is too. Oh, well.
The
I don't know.
one of the good ones to use for cleaning up the wounds is either water, saline
Yeah,
solution.
saline solution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and um, there's benzalkonium, which is less offensive on the wound. Usually, everything to in wipes that you put on the wounds, damn the term, providine,
Yeah.
iodine stuff
Mm.
is really good. It'll help your wound seal, and it'll help also.
It,
It's the yellow stuff that they put when they operate on you,
yep.
and it'll help your skin to not be contaminated. But the problem is, iodine has an expiry date. Some people are allergic to high oats, but
Yep.
on the outer skin, usually it's not even a problem. It's when it gets inside the body. So when you're
Well,
injected with iodine, it's not the same stuff.
Hey,
well,
Exactly.
through
guys.
an, yeah,
Two-
Serge is there.
Serge is here. You missed my pour. It was amazing. And Tyler asks iodine for sutures.
Well, that was my point. Following LT on this, um, you not do not use iodine if you have any doubt that someone might be allergic
Yeah,
to.
that can be bad news.
Because you'll get the worst reaction on your skin is going to be a swelling.
Yeah,
But the problem is if you're suturing and you have swelling, you're defeating the purpose of the suture because
and
everything's going to blow.
I can vouch and I can tell you and literally I'm gonna swear on any Bible with this. I've seen one case specifically where iodine to disinfect, we had to get the epinephrine pens out.
So it's really rare
So
on the skin. Okay,
yeah,
on the skin, it's
but
really rare a reaction. I had a client that was declared allergic to iodine while she was getting some thing done to see her hearts, but she was using prep site iodine for
without any
25
issues.
years without a single issue. So, I
Cool.
mean, it depends. It's all case to case.
Yep.
But if you got benzalkonium, it's basically iodine is about 80 to 90% disinfection of your site.
Yeah.
Benzalkonium chloride, which is the transparent liquid.
Yep.
That's another type of prep. That's about 50%. Peroxide is 10%. Alcohol is way too freaking much. So
Tyler says in the past he's had to self suture a couple of times. He always used prepackaged and used 90% isopropyl because
that's
that's how
alcohol.
they
Yeah,
taught it in the Scouts.
yeah. I mean, disaffinition is good,
Okay.
but I mean, it's not present after. It doesn't last long on the skin, so it evaporates, and then you do your thing. That's
Well,
pretty good.
and
But
that's
inside,
why,
it hurts.
yeah, and that's why I just use 70 proof alcohol. You'll get lasting result, and you'll get less pain at the end. That being said, most of the sutures that you will need to do, just use cyanoacrylate lube.
Now, here's an interesting question. Well, to me, um,
Look, yes,
does
only to you.
alcohol
Next,
like alcohol evaporates, but does it have an actual best before date? Because I'm thinking back to what we were talking about before. That
I'm gonna answer by asking you another question. Do you have a best before date on vodka?
no, but it disappears, right? Like this bottle here.
Yep,
Once this is opened, over time it will evaporate.
It
that's
is the
correct.
exact same thing.
I have an old bottle of alcohol here that I've been using slowly and slowly and slowly. I mean, alcohol, isopropyl alcohol.
No, I get you. So how long
Still
have you
works.
had that bottle?
Many years,
Many years.
more than 10 years, and it's open, and it's there. There's about that much left in it, and you don't use it very often.
Hmm.
So,
I'm getting through isopropylic alcohol so fast that I'm not counting.
well, you're using for electronics. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
That's the universal solvent in
Yeah.
electronics. It's not
But
water.
at 70%, the one you buy off the shelf at the pharmacy, it'll last almost forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's an expiry date on it because they're mandatory. But the reality of things, if it's not open, it's going to be pretty much effective. It might not be 70% calibration anymore, but even though if it's at 50%, it's still effective.
Yep.
Okay, so we've talked about keeping stockpilers. I'll own that.
Well, if you have many piles,
We've talked about essentially wounds and alcohol.
Training.
Talked about generators.
Yeah.
Ethan
Proper cup.
talked about doing this tonight.
Canning.
We talked about
canning,
canning.
microwave one at a time cannings.
Yeah, if I try that and I blow
Go
my
for it.
microwave, I'm going to be sleeping in a neighbor's house for a month. So I don't know. We got 14. We got.
You can
15
you can
minutes
still
left.
do it while she's not there.
But if
Yeah,
I blow the microwave,
Then replace it before she
You
arrives.
won't blow it.
yeah.
Jeez.
We've talked about bugging out versus bugging in.
Bug in.
Like
Then
what
bug
else
out.
is there?
Well,
I don't want to talk about guns and ammo. I don't want to talk about politics. But
Only prices.
what?
Only
Only
prices.
prices.
Only prices and ammo. That's it.
if you ever do a live chat on politics, I mean, we're gonna blow the ratings.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're gonna blow the ratings downwards.
It's not interesting. Like, is there a case to be made for buying? Like now we're sort of getting into deep prepper stuff. But is there a case to be made for buying a little chunk of land out in the sticks somewhere?
In the States, I'm not sure.
No, in the sticks. Like I go back and forth on that. I part of the lesson of what we're going through right now is that damn straight I'm buying a couple of hectares or whatever when I can. But that's partly because I want to be away from the world, and also partly because I'm stuck doing backyard bushcraft for my YouTube channel. Do you know what I'm saying? I
I'm not
don't
even
know how
doing
useful
videos.
buying a little chunk of land somewhere would really be.
Think about that. You buy a piece of land, you set up a little cabin or camper, RV, whatever you want, bunker on this piece of land, and you stockpile whatever you want on this piece of land, and you make sure that you rotate it as if you were.
And that piece of land that you
rotate
where
as well. You can take your bug in location and move it to
Move it
another
there.
location.
One wild card. When the crap hits the fan where I live, the first thing that'll probably happen is that the bridges will get closed.
Ooh, that's rough.
Well,
You don't have a boat either.
that's the genius
Buy a
island.
raft.
I mean, that's the genius of the island. It's the island.
My point with this is relatively simple. If you're thinking about buying something, some sticks on some land, that's fine. Do it for your leisure.
Yeah.
Don't do it for prepping.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. And Mark, by the way, says something interesting, which I believe because I, as some of you know, I grew up shift eating poor, right? So the idea of buying a chunk of land is foreign. It's a dream I have, but it's completely foreign to my experience. Buying this
Same here.
house was never in my plan, you know? And what he says is not many can afford that second chunk of land. If you can, sure, go ahead. Good point.
Yep.
And if you do, you might want to. It might be your bug-in location, but eventually it might be just the location to which you're going to be moving up
Right.
to.
But I just think it's too easy to just pour a little concrete pad and throw an RV on it. Honestly,
Yeah, but at the same
You
time,
can't do
that's
that in all the township here. I mean, there's rules. There's too freaking much rules, but
Yep.
there is rules about those permanent trailers to be not allowed in a chunk of land. Something you have to build something permanent.
Well, and here's the thing, right? My dream is to buy that chunk of land and build a log cabin on it. And now Sean James went and did it, and he did a YouTube channel about it. So I feel like, you know, but I would still like to build a small log cabin because I've always had a love for the log cabin. And just like not have a whole lot of, I don't need to have it attached to the grid or anything. Because part of the magic of a log cabin is to feel like you're living 200 years ago, right?
yeah.
Or at least for me it is. Not for everyone, but for me, part of the magic of the log cabin is to sit there and pretend that I'm Gray Owl. Or
Yeah, it's leisure.
yeah, you know, so like because I'm not a full-on prepper, right? I'm not a survivalist.
Right.
I'm a bushcrafter and someone who likes being out there. And so if I could afford, which you know, Mark, was it Mark who said that? Mark Pootmans?
Yep.
I can't afford it either. But I would really want that chunk of land, you know? And it's, if I can have something for my leisure that just happens to be really good for when trouble strikes, then I consider that a win.
True.
yeah.
But also, if trouble strikes, are people really going to care about property at that point?
No,
That's my point.
That's
absolutely
the
not. I
thing.
think you're absolutely right.
If you have a prepared land, somebody knows that you've constructed a bunker.
Mhm.
Think about it. They're
Right.
gonna hit your bunker first.
Right. Yeah, bunkers.
Or
If
they're
you
gonna
make a
hit
bunker,
you.
that should be like top secret. Only you and a trusted friend knows something.
Yeah, that's
I-
why I don't want an actual like an
Yeah, but-
overt bunker.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
Recently, I saw the installation of the Net Loss bunker, which is a trademark
yeah,
video that they had, and the guide were saying that the bunker would be sitting underneath the house they were to build in this location. They were all proud of showing bunkers, and I was saying like, who the heck would like to have a crane bringing a container size bunker in their land at the view of everyone?
Which
Mhm.
video is this?
That's something I picked up on YouTube.
the beauty of drones and Google Earth is actually access to see what's in each other's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I by the way, I want to point to what Tenenbaum said. I popped it up on screen a while ago, and then we sort of got distracted. He says that I think that is a scale-dependent question. Can you assemble a group of people who have the skills / community / trust to operate as an effective independent unit in that place? And I think that's where, that's an interesting question because if you have, I don't know, Ethan, what would you say is an ideal small community if the world ends? 12 people max?
Somewhere between 12 and 20.
Okay, let's call it 15 then, just to sort of.
Sure.
So if you have 15 people and one's a blacksmith because you guys are really lucky, and one's maybe 2 or 3 farmers,
Medical,
medical,
uh,
seamstress,
farmer.
or tailor. You got to farm, Now,
I'm taking Tyler. That's it.
That's great, but
Hmm.
you also have to work in the psychology aspect. Do these people like each other? Do they trust each other?
Exactly.
And
That's
you
the main
don't
thing.
know how people are going to react to the situation until the situation happens. People
That,
can lose their minds. You have no idea.
think about your worst or best zombie movies. Who the hell does not tell the other one he got bitten? Always the, the sloppiest guy of them all. I mean, you can have a big group and there's only one that's going to say, "Oh, Jesus, I'm not going to say to the other that I'm problematic because they're going to throw me out." And then you end up all infected. I mean,
Yeah,
geez.
it has to be a group where you're not going to want to throw someone out. You
Yeah, but
can't
that's
have that one
difficult.
person who's always cleaning the kitchen, and it's like, guys, you
Yeah.
can't have that one person who's,
Remember when they were
you know.
remember when they were planning to go to Mars? They had a mission Earth. They
In
threw like
Arizona.
in Arizona so many people into a bunker with a greenhouse
Yep,
and
that
that
was called Earth 2.
Earth
Yeah.
too. Yeah, and they lasted how long? 3 months, I think.
Well, because
They
you have to work
trained.
the psychology out, right? You have to, it's not because I do believe that I don't believe the world is going to end, but if it does, then my thought process is you have to have a community around you.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
That is not
definitely.
as easy as it sounds to put together.
Ah,
Think
I'm
about it. Not stranger people trained beforehand to get into that bunker. They lasted 3 months.
Yep.
They banged on the door saying, "Hey, let's get the fuck out of here." If you're in open community, it's easier because each and everyone has his little house or something. The problem is when you have to split what's available to each and everyone every times, and then this guy get frustrated about being the one that had the most
Hmm.
and split the most because either he has the most skill or he's the most in demand person for whatever the
Yep.
supply or the skill.
Well, have you guys ever heard of a kibbutz?
Yep.
Now,
The
I'm
train
sorry.
thing?
I shouldn't answer that fast.
well, the thing is, kibbutz aren't kibbutzim, sorry, are not secret. It's just it's a commune living. It's supposed to be like pure communist living, and what it is it's like it's a cooperative. And the fact is, um, everyone brings something to the table. You get voted
okay.
in.
Yeah,
Kind of borderline cult.
yeah. Well,
To some
that
people,
that
it is.
ends up fast.
Look, I lived in a housing co-op that some,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, what these communities do is what we're talking about, but they're doing it. And someone who doesn't fit gets voted out. Now, if the zombies attack, then someone getting voted out is a big freaking deal
oh yeah, no, that's life
because
and
it's
death.
not that easy to replace that person,
Yeah,
and they're probably going to get killed, or they're going to start their own colony and come and take you out.
yeah.
The
Think
idea,
about
the idea behind a kibbutz is that everyone brings their skills to
yeah,
the table, and you keep this thing going, and um, with a kibbutz or a housing co-op or a farming co-op or whatever, if everyone is working in good faith, you don't all have to get along.
Dr. Sharp bring an
Fair,
excellent point
pretty
in the
much.
comments.
Is this one?
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up, but I wanted to deal with Tenenbaum first because it's true. In the world doesn't end, someone leaves. World ends,
yeah.
someone leaves and either dies or
Open
comes back.
open communities at the end are the answer.
Yep.
They are far easier to manage. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'd rather be in a small village or even a large city than being stuck alone in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The
far easier to get people to help you in a larger group
That's
than
true.
just trying to reach to do your home things alone in one corner of you of the
So
planet.
you're saying everyone's got their little community, but you network all the communities together, so that they're all open rather than walled off from
It
each other.
is so
Yeah.
much easier to manage. It
Well,
is actually what we're doing every single day.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Whatever's
that's
going
why we
on.
have so many large cities. I mean, it's small communities that came together.
Yeah.
But think about. I have an example about the all
Before you
the
give that example, LT, everybody stop for a second. Dennis, man, welcome to the live stream 3 minutes before it ends. Does anyone have a problem with going till like 10 past just so that Dennis can be here for a little longer?
I
No,
can
we're
make 5 minutes fast. I gotta work.
5 minutes past. Okay, we'll go to 11:05.
All right.
uh,
LT, say what you were going to
uh,
say.
in the community and the group, closed group. Think about a condominium complex, a housing complex.
Yeah.
How many problems are raised by one, two, three buggers? And then when you solve that problem, you have the fourth buggers that comes and has all those problems coming. I mean, it's a never-ending
So
story.
there'll always be problems no matter how big the group of people, maybe.
They're all the bigger the group, the easier it is to deal with it because you
Yep.
can replace that person.
Mm.
Okay, that person doesn't come essential. But if
Yeah,
it's
and
the doctor that raised shit in your community and he's always the bugger bugging everyone, you
I'm
want to
doing
throw him out?
more work than everyone else.
Well,
and
Do you want to throw him out because he's the freaking doctor?
no,
Right.
you don't want to throw out
No,
the doctor, right?
no.
Unless there's a nurse. Because
Unless you have a replacement, of course. But that is building up your community to bigger.
Mhm.
I
yeah,
mean,
because
if
you
you
don't
have
want to
only,
throw me away.
yeah, if you have a small community uh, dispensary where you have that one doctor, or you have an hospital where there's 50 doctors,
Yeah.
he's not that essential because there is other doctors that can do the job. But if he's the only one, he's valuable. He's a high value asset, and that high value asset will bring two things. He's going to be an ass, or somebody else going to want that ass. So because he has power,
Well,
so
and
your community is going to be rated for that asset. Think about it. It's all shit the fan and everything, but if you have assets that are high value, as the first asset is going to be rated. When I went to the Gulf with the Navy ships, I was on the suppliers. We were doing 75% of the supplying job of the fleet. We were 1% of the fleet. We were the one ship out of 100
mhm.
doing 75% of the workload.
Yep.
And that workload, if anybody was intelligent on the other side, would have tried to be exterminated first because that's 75% of the workload. So it's all a question of value of the assets,
Yeah.
and it's all in equilibrium in value. I mean, a carpenter is a good asset to have, but somebody that can nail a nail may be able to do with while you don't have a carpenter.
But actually, thanks, LT, because you actually fed right into, as soon as you said carpenter, I wanted to say something because my first summer job was carpentry. I did it for 5 years. I worked on little jobs like putting in a skylight in someone's
Yeah.
house, to re-siding a house to something bigger, and replacing a carpenter with someone who can do like woodwork is the same problem as replacing a doctor with a nurse. There are two different skills. At the very bottom, they're very similar.
Yeah, at the
But
very
the
bottom.
math involved in carpentry, which is why I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore, by the way, the mathematics involved in carpentry and the math involved in, say, someone who's a cabinet maker or someone who can nail in a nail and saw fairly straight, not the same thing. And so there's a value to people who bring the brain trust as well as
Oh
just
yeah,
muscle.
no question about it. But I mean, if you can do away with the multifunction guy that can do a little electricity, a little carpentry, a little things, a little of that, it's not. more valuable asset. It's a more polyvalent asset. I mean,
But
you've
there's
got
the
to
thing.
have many skills to be
If you
able
can,
to,
if you can do away with him, then maybe instead of doing away with him, you can do away with 4 specialists.
because he can replace maybe it's not perfect, but he'll replace if you have some skill on a motor,
Yep.
you can fiddle that motor to keep it working. You're
Yep.
not perfect, it's probably not going to be that good, but if it works, it does work. So polyvalence
Yep.
is
Yep.
better than unique skills. Also, a a a jack of all trades will be less attractive to others
Yep.
than a ultimate specialist about this thing.
That's
So
just like,
that's a high value target.
what if you were a jack of all trades? What if you had multiple skills? How attractive does that make you in a community?
Nobody wants me.
Yeah.
Well, everybody
And that's
wants.
because of your personality, Simon.
Well,
Okay,
I mean,
fine.
a jack of all trade is a good guy to have. Is a good guy to have. The the thing is, it's not exposing himself as that valuable. I mean, like a doctor. Hey, we've got a brain surgeon here. Hey, we've got a wounded there that needs brain surgery. So
That's
that
cool.
guy becomes the attractive.
Yeah, but
But if you
now
say,
you need someone to keep. You need a doctor to keep someone alive.
Okay, but
yeah,
guys, we're getting like we're going from prepping into like
Skills.
Walking Dead,
oh, I
tragedy
mean,
fantasy here. Like, if let's just bring it back a little bit because we've covered a lot of stuff. This entire show was sparked when Ethan said, "Hey, why don't we do something on prepping?" And I've been spending all my time since then trying to sort of come up with all the angles. And I sort of we've hit on many things. Um, but what the hell if we? Oh, Serge, everybody wants me because of my personality. Oh, you're so cute. Um, like,
are you saying he's like a
what have
puppy?
we
Everyone
missed?
loves him.
What have we
Okay.
missed? Right? We've talked about so many things, but because we're not really in a prepper situation yet, or we're probably not going to be. Let's
None
face it.
of us.
Okay.
What are we?
I,
What are
I,
we
I
missing?
have an angle on that. We're not yet in a prepping situation, but when we're gonna get into a prepping situation, it's too late to become a prepper. You've got to
Right.
be prepper before. You got to be prepared in some point.
I bring this up every now and again. It's called. I don't remember what. I don't know what it's called now. But when I saw the TED talk like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it was called the Civilization Starter Kit. And what these
From open source ecology with the Polish guy.
is it called open source ecology now? And
Yes,
the
it
whole
is.
concept was, and of course, it was a technologist, not really a technologist, but it was an engineering solution to maybe not an engineering problem. But it was that
He's a
you could,
nuclear physicist, by the way.
okay, you could homestead, shall we say, with modular stuff, so that you could use the same pieces to create. Say you needed a tractor for your fields, and then take it apart and put it back together as a generator, and then take it apart and put it back together as a. I mean, stuff. Okay,
Well,
and
a farm tractor is a generator. He is the motor that's moving the elevator to get the grains into the silo. It is the motor for a lot of things in
It
there.
is a multi-tool.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
yeah, but a tractor is really expensive. Like a tractor is
Depend
mind-boggling.
depends
Depends
on what you're getting.
You know,
if you have an old tractor, they all work the same. They still
yeah.
have the same adapter to move the other things. And in the ice storm, uh, the farmers were using their tractor for the generator. They were using their tractor also to move things around. They were getting the woods to their fireplace for heating because it was simpler, and they had the asset in their house. They were using their generator to help their neighbor because they moved the whole thing.
But my
But
question is this. My question is this. Maybe it's all BS. Maybe you
It
don't
is.
need that. Maybe because I've a few years ago I watched for the first time, and I've watched several times since. I think it was a BBC or a Channel 4 series called Tales from the Green Valley, and what they did was they took, and I've spoken about this on this YouTube channel before, but you guys can all just pretend you've never heard of it. They took 5 historians, okay, like academics, about medieval England, and they put them on a bona fide medieval farm.
Yep.
And they could do nothing that was not available to them after the 1400s. Okay, so that means if they wanted to eat meat, they had to slaughter one of their pigs. If they wanted to keep the cattle warm, they had to do their own wattle and daub walls and stuff. Now they could not run a farm with fewer than 5 people because everyone had a job. And in England in 1423, because why not? First of all, the strength of sort of your middle of the road person was much higher than it is today. Because you got up in the morning, you had your breakfast, you went out, you worked all day, you came back, you had your supper, you had a little small beer, and then you went to sleep. And then you woke up and you worked in the fields all day, or you built them.
That was life.
Yeah, and died at 40.
We're living
30.
Yeah, well,
in a world that did not have what we have today. Like if you wanted to make a forge, you didn't buy fire bricks.
No.
And so if the world ends tomorrow and we go into like a new dark age, we didn't grow up with any of these skills. But I mean, I wonder how long it would take for them to redevelop these skills.
Okay, the human being in history has proven to be the most versatile animal on the planet, which brings us to the apex. With our brain, we created the tool to supplement what we needed to maintain that position.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is, once you created the tools, you are losing the older skill because you replace that skill by tools, and then you facilitate your life. Then you become weaker.
Right.
Why in the military do the basic courses always tremendously higher demand than what you do in real life? Because you got to reacquire that toughness to your physical before getting towards the skill. Because when there's an expression I read on Facebook, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you haven't tasted the suck, you ain't gonna embrace it. So you've got to taste it first, and then embrace it, and then go beyond. But to go beyond, you got to train yourself. But to train yourself, you got to develop the skills.
I think this is a good thing to end on. I think survival instinct is in every human being, and prepping or not, human beings will find a way to survive.
I agree.
They'll remove the obstacles. Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Humans will return to their basic instinct when they need it.
And if you think about it, the fact that we developed certain systems in the first place means that they can be redeveloped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good thing to end on. We're at 11:10. We stayed open an extra 10 minutes to, just for Dennis.
Just for Dennis.
So thanks to everyone who hung out with us. Thanks to all you guys who came on. Thank you, Ethan, for the idea of having this episode.
Sure.
I had no idea what we were going to talk about tonight. So
As usual.
I had no idea. I would have
prepping. It was like, sure thing. So yes, I hope to see everyone back again next week. I'm planning another panel discussion. Well, I'm planning another 4 panel discussions, but as you know, they happen about once a month. So those are coming down the pipe. You guys will know when they come around.
Let me know.
So everybody stay healthy, stay safe, don't get COVID-19. Apparently it's a real drag if you do. So on that note, see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.